everybody, welcome back to the wine challenge. We are on week 11. This week's wine is the Domaine de Milhomme Cuvée Le Mûrier. Now this is a Gamay from France, so you're looking at the Beaujolais region, and I've only ever had one other Beaujolais before, and it's something which is a bit of a novelty. You may have heard of it. It's a Beaujolais Nouveau. Now, Beaujolais Nouveau is a very young Gamay wine from the Beaujolais region, which is released once a year, so it's on the third Thursday of November every year. It's really fresh, really fruity, really young wine. I got to try it through work last year and it almost had this kind of red fruit candy flavour to it. It was really unusual and it was a really great thing to be able to try and be a part of and learn a little bit about. However, this Gamay is not one of the Nouveau wines. This is just a typical, really strong, good French Gamay that I have not tried before. So some of you may notice that on your bottles you might have a slightly different label to this one. The vineyard has just decided on having a label change. They've updated it to this one here. Completely the same wine, won't taste any different, should still get the same flavours coming through. So I've not opened my bottle yet, but you may have done to allow it to breathe a little bit. But as it's quite young, it doesn't need as long to breathe, so I'm going to open mine now. Now, before I even pour this into the glass, you won't be able to see it on the camera, but you will if you've got your bottle in front of you. If you look through it, you actually get a lot of light coming through the wine. So I can already tell before I pour this that this isn't going to be super deep in colour. And here you are, it's a really vibrant, gorgeous ruby red. So let's run through our 5 S's. So we've got S number 1, which is C. So again, super bright red, lovely kind of light colour. You can see your hands through the bottom of that glass all the way down the stem. S number 2, we'll give it our first little sniff. Now it's not an overly pronounced smell that I'm getting. It's relatively light. It smells very fruity. I think it's definitely more like red fruits. Maybe sort of, you know, strawberries and raspberries, but maybe like a little hint of cherry in there as well. Definitely more, I feel, on the berry side of red fruits, but I mean, that's just what I'm getting from it. I'm not getting any kind of spices or any kind of earthy kind of aromas either. So S number 3, we'll give it a swirl. And we'll sniff it again. Yeah, even still, I'm not getting any kind of spicy notes. All I'm getting is fruit. I'm not getting anything kind of underlying. It's very kind of light and fresh and fruity for a red. Sometimes you'll get, you know, like cloves or vanilla or chocolate or something sort of deeper or darker in there. And this is definitely a wine which smells as though it's going to be a lot lighter and a lot fruitier. And lastly, our final S, the favourite S, let's give it a sip, give it a go. Cheers. Immediately, I'm coating my mouth a bit before I go into the second one. It's not a heavy wine. It is not a very full-bodied wine. This is very light. But now I've coated my mouth, let's give it another go. It's got a little acidity. It's got really kind of minimal tannins. The tannins in there, and bear in mind, I've not had this open prior to this video, so the tannins haven't had a time to kind of smooth out at all, you know, should they have needed smoothing, but they're already quite smooth. They're already quite mellow. Still getting kind of red fruity flavour. For me, it's definitely red fruit, soft tannins, and to be honest, I think it's just the fruit that does all the flavouring. I don't think that this is oaked, at least I can't tell that it's oaked from the taste because I'm not getting any of those spicy notes. It's just light and fresh and fruity, and it's the kind of wine where you could sit outside in the sunshine drinking it. It's not a heavy winter wine. It's a light summer's day kind of bottle, which is kind of a shame really because the weather's been so temperamental recently. It would be lovely if it was a gorgeous sunny day and I could have done this tasting outside. But nonetheless, really nice. Fresh, fruity, vibrant, not particularly complex as a wine. It's not a wine that you have to sit there and, you know, think about and try and suss out all the different flavours and layers involved. It is just pretty much what it says. Yeah, that's my impression. Let's have a little look and see what the tasting notes are for this wine. So this wine is an explosion of red fruit on the nose, dominated by cherry and blackberry. See, I didn't get any blackberry, I was only getting red fruits, and I consider blackberry to be a black fruit, but I kind of got the berryness of it all. Definitely red berries to me. Not so much blackberry, but red berries. Cherry, yeah. The palate is full, showing fresh red fruit flavours. Definitely got the red fruit. Giving the effect of bursting fresh grapes in the mouth. Sounds a bit bizarre really, considering it's a wine and it's made from grapes, but I didn't get a grape flavour from it. But I understand what they mean, like it's bursting in the mouth, so the flavours from the grape, maybe, are bursting in the mouth? I don't know. Very quite punchy and fruity. It's delicately accompanied by supple, melted and long-lasting tannins. I think that's fair. The tannins, they're not harsh, they aren't particularly strong, they don't dry your mouth out too much, and they don't need as much time to breathe to become quite smooth. They were already quite smooth, from going pretty much straight in. But they are still present, it says they're long lasting here, and you still get the tannin effect, you still get the tannin flavour on there as well. So yeah, I think that's pretty fair. I think that's pretty bob on, pretty accurate. For me, not so much the blackberry, definitely more red fruits the whole way through, on the nose, on the palate. But all in all, a lovely fresh wine. Now, as for food pairings, it's not a particularly heavy, full-bodied wine, so if you're going towards the lighter end of reds, it would really kind of work quite well with sort of heartier chicken dishes. So things like a chicken casserole, coq au vin, maybe even like a tagine. Not necessarily like a creamy chicken dish or the kind of chicken dish that you would maybe have with, say, a white, but one of those kind of heartier ones with the tomato bases and slightly heavier ingredients in. So you're not getting the weight from the meat like you would with a steak with maybe a fuller bodied red wine, but you're having something which is a little bit stronger and which can stand up to the fact that it is a red and it is quite fruity and vibrant. If you're going a bit veggie, you could be talking some form of like potato or mushroom dish. Again, maybe with a tomato base, that would work quite well with it as well. But the cheese I've selected for this week is the creamy Lancashire from our truckles in the shop. So this is a little bit heavier, a little bit creamier than the Lancashire that we have from the bar, which was the crumbly Lancashire, so a little bit more acidic and light and sort of crumbling apart. This one has a little bit more weight, a little bit more creaminess, so it would work quite well with a nice red wine, but it is still a slightly milder cheese to, say, a cheddar, so it should hopefully pick out the fruit flavours in this without overpowering it. So I forgot to steal any little crackers or toast from the bar, so it's a tuck cracker for this week. But that's, a relatively nondescript cracker, so it does mean the cheese can do all the talking. So here we go. Very excited for this. Cheers. So the cheese has a nice creaminess to it, but not a heavy creaminess. It's not as kind of weighty or stodgy as you'd get maybe with the mature cheddar. And because of that, it's not overpowering, but it does have enough kind of weight to it to really make the sort of red fruitiness kind of pop. That's a really lovely combination. They just pair up quite well, and I think actually I'm quite glad that I have a plainer cracker to put it on, because again, a lot of the flavours are coming from the wine now. The cheese isn't mega salty, it is a little bit milder in flavour. So what it's really doing is just contributing that little bit of creaminess, little bit of salt, little bit of fattiness, which is really making the fruit flavours in this sing, which is good because this is a particularly fruity wine and this is what that wine relies on. That's got the go ahead from me. I do think that this combination, when it's light, it's sunny, this would be perfect. It's a kind of relaxed, easy drinking kind of wine, and especially with the cheese combination as well, it's a kind of pick and nibble and drink and sip. Just easy drinking and really easy to enjoy. You don't have to think too much about it. Not too complex. Yeah, a good one. But let me know what you think, as ever. We love it when you comment, let us know, send us a video back as some of you have been doing, show us your photos. And I'll see you all again next week when we're finally going to be skipping back to our Californian Chardonnay that we had to change out earlier in the challenge. Now, one thing I will say is we have had to change the Californian Chardonnay that we're using. So we were going to use the Ironstone Chardonnay, but unfortunately due to a supplier issue, we're now swapping over to the Maggio Chardonnay. Again, Californian Chardonnay, they won't taste too different in flavour profiles. If you did already buy the Ironstone Chardonnay and you've been hanging on to it though for the challenge, you can either join in with that bottle or you can bring it in and we'll swap it out for one of the Maggios for you. Totally up to you. I have had the Ironstone one before. It's lovely. I've not tried the Maggio one yet, but I'm sure it's equally good. Completely your call. Until then, stay safe, have a great week, and cheers.